everyone, a long time no see. It has been quite a while since my last video. In that one, I told you that I was pregnant, and then I kind of dropped off of YouTube for many months. A little update on my life. My son arrived safely in October. He's healthy, he's doing well. I'm healthy and doing well. Getting used to having an infant has been quite challenging for my husband and myself, but we're getting through. We have learned to kind of adjust and adapt to new circumstances, and our son is stinking adorable, so cute. Between then and now, I have really been missing making videos, just haven't had the time to do so kind of up until this point. And so I don't know, I've decided to try and see if that is something I can fit back into my life. And I figured that a good place to start was a sketchbook tour. So without further ado, let's take a look at my sketchbook from last year. All right, we are just gonna dive right into this. This is the sketchbook that I worked on in 2022. It took me pretty much all year to finish it because I was pregnant and miserable and had a lot of stop and start stuff. But all right, let's just get into it. First off, this sticker is from Sugar Bunny Shop. I will put a link to their shop in the description. And first off, as you can see, I started this in end of February, so I guess it technically isn't the full year, but you know, close enough. Just some kind of little doodly things. I really like how this cat turned out. And then we have the start of like pregnancy related things. I was actually planning to kind of do a whole documenting on how I felt about, you know, being pregnant and stuff. Obviously that did not happen. I talk about the first, like, the very beginning of it, and then I kind of just gave up on that. I did end up making a lot of pregnancy related comics, which I posted on my Instagram if you want to go check those out. And then here we have kind of a collage page, which I actually made retroactively, like I just kind of went back to this blank space and just kind of filled it in with some stamps and kind of other interesting things I collected. You'll notice a bunch of collage stuff scattered throughout this. Most of that was done retroactively, and I've been trying to be more not overthinking my collages, I guess. Like spending time, you know, a lot of times with collages I can nitpick it to the nth degree, but now I've been trying to just basically kind of like throw some stuff down there, make quick decisions, and just kind of, if it turns out great, great. If it's not the best ever, that's okay. Just because I don't have time to overthink collaging anymore, but I still really like to do it. All right, anyway, okay, so just, you know, pictures or drawings of my cat, my dog, and then, yeah, like, this is my dog Suki's horn that she likes to chew on, some random kind of doodles. These are watercolor marker pens, added a little fortune there, kind of just some things to spruce it up a little bit. Yeah, more doodles. I might have done these in church at one point, just kind of random, just stuff. Church drawings that I kind of embellished with a bit of the watercolor marker. This is sort of a like journal page. I don't know how well you can see it in this light. Just stuff I was thinking about, you know, story hangover because I was super into a story, some snow on like rhododendrons, which just looks like indescript blobs at this point. Just, you know, stuff. This is March. I was starting to feel pretty sick at this point, but I guess I felt well enough to do a drawing here. And then another collage that I did retroactively. This is part of the pregnancy announcement I made on Instagram. So kind of like, you know, like this book design. And then, you know, I had kind of each of us as characters. So my husband, me, my cats, my dog, my Roomba, because why not? And then, you know, the announcement of, you know, our baby coming in October. This was a fun idea. Again, a lot of work to kind of come up with it, and it's a little hard to read, but you can see a better image of it on Instagram if you're interested. This, again, retroactive collage, like a tag from like a baby thing, and, you know, paint chip, that sort of thing. All right, and this was, I actually did a video. The last video I made last year was of this like doing this mermaid drawing. And I announced that I was pregnant, and I kind of talked a little bit about that. I had really hoped to make more videos last year, but it just did not happen between all the, like, just being pregnant and all the difficulty that was, and then, you know, giving birth and having a newborn and dealing with that. It just didn't happen. So kind of bummed about that, but hopefully this year I can find time to make more videos. This was a fun page. So I was kind of experimenting with like D&D characters and then making them as animals. So here we have a little cat wizard, which I think this is super cute. Let me get you a little bit of a closer view. Like, adorable. And then we have this like chicken fighter, which I kind of did like a Romanesque thing, probably because the top frill, whatever, is that comb? Is that called a comb? Anyway, reminded me of like Roman, you know, attire. We've got like a guinea pig monk, which I just think is funny. And then this little house doodle, which I think is super cute and turned out really nice. We'll see a close up of that too. So just kind of a random doodle. And then there's like a really big jump. I can't remember when this was, but this was done in May, so I guess maybe not that big of a jump. This is still May. Anyway, just random doodles of, you know, plant life, random stuff I was thinking about, just random. I realized that like drawing and doodling kind of helped me feel better, helped me sort of process things, helped me like take my mind off of like when I was feeling depressed and stuff. I honestly wish I had a little bit more time to do that now, and I think it would be good if this year I can find time to intentionally draw more in my sketchbook. Again, having a baby it makes things challenging. But anyway, again, another kind of little journaly page. I saw a chipmunk this day, and I was eating a lot of pink lady apples. Those were one of the things that tasted good at the time. You know, some weeds that looked pretty. This little like grumpy bear in a lion costume. Added this little stamp later. And this is actually kind of me trying to come up with this drawing, which was just this little like lion cub in a dandelion costume, which I just thought was a funny idea. This one was kind of me reflecting on how many weeds were growing in my garden and feeling bad about that, but also kind of trying to let that go because I had to let a lot of things go just because I didn't have the capacity or energy or ability to really maintain the things that I normally would have, you know, had I been feeling better. So this was preparation for my son Ezra's like gender announcement. Again, kind of going along with that like character D&D theme. Again, better image of this on my Instagram if you're interested, and then kind of like preparing, trying to figure out how to do that. These were random notes on like drawing characters, I think, on like just kind of coming up with, or just basically like shape language and how to kind of communicate certain expressions. Just these were some random doodles I did, kind of playing around with Posca pencils, which I really like. I got a couple of those. I don't remember if I got them last year or this year, but anyway, I really kind of enjoyed messing around with them. This is just kind of random colors. This was as you can see, mail-inspired page. I think it started out with a sketch of my neighbor's mailbox, and then I kind of threw in this stamp, and then I kind of did like a drawing kind of inspired by that, and then this little like mail monster, and I don't know, this was a fun page to do. I like the mix of realistic things and collage elements and this little character. Really enjoyed doing that. This was sort of random icons. I have an interest in like simple icons, like, and I think it's fun. I think that they're really fun, and I'd like to work more of them into my art, but sometimes I can't always think of like what I'd like to draw. So this is me just kind of brainstorming icons. This again is another collage page. It's a little hard to tell, but there's like a crown on this. It's like the embossed. This was like what this was stuck to, but it was kind of like embossed, so I thought that was cool. Stuck that on there. Again, retroactively added. This was interesting. So I had this Tokidoki like packaging label thing that came from a backpack I bought, and I tried to see if I could match all the colors with like watercolor that I had. Like I tried to kind of think, like look at all the colors that were used in here and tried to kind of make this little matching swatch. And then on this one I was inspired by the idea of like farmers market, and so I wanted to try to push myself to make like a farmers market scene, but see how many characters I could put in it, because one thing I don't have a lot of practice in is drawing characters in a group. And like how does it like crowds, and how do you layer people so that it makes sense. And so this was kind of a cool exercise in that. Again, the drawing is like okay, like the actual skill level of the drawing is okay, but for the fact that I was trying to kind of figure out like placement of things, I think it turned out really well. Like how do you have background characters? How do you make them interesting? How much detail do you include? How do you kind of have focal points and stuff? So I think this turned out really cool. It would have been nice to color it, but yeah, again, didn't have the capacity for that. This was just a bad page. I felt like drawing, but I didn't really feel like doing a good job, if that makes any sense. So I kind of had a fat brush pen, and I was just doing these random, like, bad drawings of, like, stuff I could see or stuff that was just off the top of my head. It was a bad drawing, but whatever. This is a really cool page. This actually came from a cover of a Game Informer magazine that I just thought looked really cool. So I clipped it out, but I clipped out certain parts of it that didn't sort of match this sort of background color scheme. And then I decided to kind of like go back and add these sort of like characters. Like I made these little like cat anthro characters, and this little like whatever this beast is pulling this wagon, and kind of like, so it's like partially this art for, I can't remember what the game was for this, but like I also kind of added my own characters into it and sort of like did like that combination thing. I don't know if there's weird copyright infringements with this kind of stuff, but it's in a sketchbook, and like I'm not trying to make money off of it, so I think it's fine. These were sort of random fun characters I came up with just on the fly. I really liked this kind of like goat guy and this sword, so I did a whole page of this like magical sword that has like conquest ambitions, and this rather timid like office worker goat guy who just wants to get through life without getting into trouble, and the sword has chosen him for whatever reason. So I think this could be like a little fun story, just like within the characters. Don't know if that'll ever turn into anything that I'll make, but it was just fun to kind of explore it here. This is like a weird hybrid of like sheep and goats and rabbits, and like what that might look like, because they're like Angora rabbits, you can use their fur to like spin things, and certain goats and sheep also produce like wool and fur that you can spin from. Anyway, again, another random kind of a random page. Again, this was like something I did from a study. I guess there's a stone house at Vermilion Cliffs, I think, of an image of that, and then like these characters, like just kind of trying to imply an interesting little story and relationship. I was gonna draw someone carrying croissants, obviously didn't get to that. I drew, this is another sort of realistic drawing that I inked in, and then add this sort of stamp to try to kind of pull with the colors. I like to collect interesting stamps, and then kind of work them in retroactively to drawings, or use them to kind of inspire certain color palettes in drawings, which I did that a lot in this. This was actually a cool idea. I was watching I think it was a Casey Golden video, and she used this color combination of like these like yellowy orange colors, and then like birches, but like purple for the dark parts, and I thought that was super cool, so I wanted to try like that color scheme. So I did that as like a watercolor marker thing, and then this I think is Posca and Post-it note. Oh yeah, and then I guess under here is Cursed Watermelon. It looks really weird. So anyway, that's probably why I did that. And then I was like, thought it would be fun to draw like a coat inspired by like birch bark, and birch leaves are kind of this yellowy golden color. So that was cool. I wish the lady was a little better, but I think the concept is really interesting. This was just sort of random cat doodles. This one turned out really good, and I ended up like kind of adding like these patches and stuff. This was just me trying to kind of like practice like copying and seeing how accurate I could make this, because sometimes it's just relaxing to look at an image and try to copy the shapes as perfectly as you can. Like take your time, do a really good job, and that was what I was in the mood for, and I think they turned out okay. Obviously they're not, like this one turned out pretty close. This one's not bad. I feel like the Pikachu is a little, like the eye placement's not quite right, but still like pretty good. This was a left-hand drawing exercise. As you can see, like writing and trying to see if I could draw with my left hand. These were some random sword designs, more random sword designs, something that like, you know, a hand guard kind of thing. I think this would be way too complicated to make work. More left-handed drawings, including, this one wasn't left-handed, obviously, as the note says. But I think I also inked these in left-handed, which was kind of cool too. A few sad doodles because I was sad, and then my husband was talking about rondelle daggers, and he's like, you should come up with a character design based on a rondelle dagger. And so I kind of came up with this like ballet dancer, you know, with this, I don't know, the hat, like based on some of the stuff from the dagger design, and then she's kind of got one behind her back as kind of like a, she's gonna stab somebody. I think it's okay. I feel like it could have been better. I feel like the drawing could have been better. Some of the stuff is weird with it, but I think conceptually, like, it's cool, and it was just a fun little thing to explore. I feel like something I've been trying to do lately is when I have an idea, just explore it and get it out of my head and don't turn it into a whole big project, because I have so many ideas that I can't spend a million years on all of them. But it's kind of sad if I like just don't pursue them. So I've been trying to get into the habit of like doing a quick version of these ideas and then moving on, and then if I really like them, maybe I'll come back and visit them later, but at least I did something. Okay, anyway, tangent over. This, I was like in a waiting room. This might have been like, I broke my toe a few months ago while I was pregnant. And this, I think, was waiting outside of Express Care to kind of get it checked on. And I was just doing these kind of really like kind of blind contour drawings of like people who are there, plus again the watercolor markers to kind of integrate it. I feel like blind contour drawings are so interesting because, I mean, if you get past the whole this looks really weird, you just get some really interesting shapes, and it's just kind of interesting the way that you're like, the things your brain kind of like latches onto and how that translates to your hand motions. So this was a cool page, and I think it turned out cool. Again, I think I did this from a plant book that I have. It's just kind of a cardoon, I guess is what it is, a relative of the globe artichoke, and I really worked on kind of like, okay, adding the shading, what does that look like, doing the colors. I really need to get better at adding light and shadow to things. It's something that still really intimidates me. That and perspective. It would be good, I think, to do a concise study on that. This was another kind of like image page. Like, this was something that came from Pinterest. This was from Life and my cats. This were like, I think, clouds I could see. And then just kind of random doodles and this like boar that has this landscape growing on its back. And then a little watercolor thrown in. I think this is a fun page. It turned out really nice. This is another Pinterest thing. I think it was like a photo someone did of like, they took an altered house martin, and then I did like a catbird griffin, and then I think this is one of my cats that I sort of turned into a cat dragon. I was not feeling very happy this day, so I decided I was just gonna draw like upset people. And it was kind of good practice just to see like, to take my time and to really see like what all goes into like conveying that emotion. And again, and then like even the sort of pose here, like practicing how people like physically interact, like how bodies interact with each other. How does that look to draw them? You know, how do you convey emotion in that way? So I think this turned out pretty good. I mean, it's obviously people are upset, but this turned out good. This was, again, I was actually thinking about doing a video of me drawing this like cat wizard. I might still do it, but I was kind of brainstorming like how I would do that. It obviously did not happen, but at least, hey, I did like a rough drawing of it, so that's good. This, again, a retroactive collage. This was a drawing I think I did like a few years ago that I had like saved because I liked it. And since it, you know, I had this purple pencil, I kind of worked in these like kind of matching color palette thing. Let's see if I can turn the page. This is another, like, I had started this house, but I hadn't finished it, and then I kind of overlapped this other drawing that I had done, which actually I think turned out really cool. And then again, added these, like, I think these were from, like, a mailer, and I really liked the colors in it, so I threw that in. I got a bouquet of flowers for my birthday, and I decided just to draw them in Posca pens. Again, like, really messy, not, like, the best drawn thing ever, but I don't know, like, it was just kind of nice to sort of explore the colors and shapes a little bit. And then we have a giant, this is like the end of August, and then we have this giant leap until November because my son Ezra was born in the beginning of October. And I just obviously didn't work in my sketchbook until the very end of November and decided to do some drawings of him, which, again, drawing babies it's tricky. Their proportions are different than adults. And so, like, I don't know, like, the proportions aren't quite right here, but this is sort of me attempting. And then I kind of did a couple different attempts in the same pose because he was actually holding still. A few more things. He looks older in this picture. But yeah, I kind of trying to draw him realistically. I've done comics about him where I've kind of done a stylized version, but I wanted to sort of explore him more realistically. This was like one of the toys from his play mat. And then this was our Christmas tree. I just did this really like messy, quick sketches, like just sort of referencing the ornaments, but not going super detailed. It's interesting because sometimes it's nice to go super detailed with a drawing, and other times it's just nice to like just kind of throw something down and not care that it's super realistic or accurate. And then I just kind of slapped a little watercolor on it. And that is the last page. I probably should have done something with this, but I didn't, and that's okay. So anyway, that is my sketchbook that took all of 2022 to complete. But I don't know, it was an interesting time in my life, and I'm glad that I was able to sort of document it. And I made some interesting pieces in here, even though it was not my best year ever, and I was not feeling great, and yeah, it wasn't the best time in my life, and yet I am still proud of this sketchbook. Thank you for coming along with me and just checking it out. And I hopefully will make another video at some point, not sure when, but hopefully it won't be another year or so. Till then, I hope you have a great day, and I will hopefully see you soon. Bye!